Now this is something I want you to understand, and you need to listen carefully because this is profoundly important. Most people have never heard this and don't even understand what I'm trying to say. So try and follow what I'm going to tell you. Now, on the back of the Social Security card will be numbers in red. On the front will be in blue or black, but on the back will be in red. The numbers on the back of a Social Security card in red designate your body. It is the serial number of your stock. And this is why if you're wealthy, you are preferred stock. If you're poor, you are common stock. But you are a stock on the stock market. Your body is bought and sold through the use of your birth certificate. This is why when you were born, you have to have a birth certificate. Therefore, your birth certificate is signed by your mother. And where your mother signed on the birth certificate, get it, you will see it does not say parent or mother, it says informant. You need to wake up and find out how this stuff really works. After the change of the century, coming into 1900s, decided they wanted to expand. They got so much money and they're doing so well, they thought maybe we could expand the business, move the corporation out a little bit. Let's expand business. Let's go to Germany or Europe and open up a big corporation there and take in their corporation, their government. We'll take them over. And the Germans said, hey, Jack, it's like a mafia. What are you coming over here? You're gonna buy me? I'll buy you. You don't buy me. Like the Godfather movie. And the American corporation, British American corporation said, unfortunately, maybe you didn't understand. Let me restate it so you understand. I didn't ask you. I'm telling you. We're moving in here. It's called a corporate takeover. And so there was a hostile corporate takeover where the American corporation decided they wanted to take over in Europe and they didn't want to be taken over. Well, it's too bad. They took over anyway. So they called it a hostile corporate takeover. We call it World War I. So the corporation called United States was able to overthrow the existing corporate order in Europe, but it cost a lot of money. They had to build a lot of tanks and jeeps and pay a lot of people, and the corporation, well, they were successful. They did what they wanted to do, but they went broke doing it. And so when they went broke doing it, and then the bankers pulled their money out in 29, we had something called a stock market crash. Because the corporation spent so much money, they went broke. So the international banker says, well, if you're broke, what are you coming to me for? I'm not going to loan you money if you're broke. And so what do you have as collateral? You got any collateral that you can put up for me to loan you the money? And the corporation called United States, the British corporation called United States, said, yes, we have the stock. We'll give you stock in the company. You are the stock in the corporation. So they give your body to the banks in Switzerland. So your body now becomes stock for the corporation called United States because you are a moneymaker. Bankers came in and said, if we're going to loan you money, you guys have lost money, you guys have gone bankrupt, we're going to take care of the accounting. We're going to see where the money goes. We'll give you the money, but we're going to make it sure it goes where we want it to go. So they set up the Federal Reserve System and then the collection agency to make damn sure that you people pay us. We're going to set up to keep a record of how much you owe us in business each week. We're going to call that the Federal Reserve. And to make sure that your stock, all the chumps out there in America working, make sure the stock pays us. We're going to make sure they pay us. You don't just tell me you're going to pay. I'm going to make sure they're going to pay. So we will set up a collection agency. Our own personal collection agency is called the Internal Revenue. So the banks, the corporation called United States, loan money to the privately owned corporation called United States, and the United States corporation gave your body, your birth certificate, to the banks as collateral for the loan. And that's why today Americans are nothing but slaves. Now this is something I want you to understand, and you need to listen carefully because this is profoundly important. Most people have never heard this and don't even understand what I'm trying to say. But try and follow what I'm going to tell you. There are two kinds of law on the earth, as I've said. One is called civil law, which is the law of the land, and one is called maritime admiralty, which is called the law of water. Maritime admiralty is banking law. And the law on the maritime admiralty says that you, because you came out of your mother's water, are a maritime admiralty product. This is why the ship is sitting in its berth and it's tied to the dock, and the captain has to give a certificate of manifest to the port authorities because money is changing hands. This is why when you were born, you have to have a birth certificate. And it's got to be signed by the dock because that's where the ship is tied to, is the dock. So the dock signs your birth certificate. Why? Because you came down out of your mother's water. You came down her birth canal. You are a maritime admiralty product, and therefore your birth certificate is signed by your mother. And where your mother signed on the birth certificate, get it, you will see it does not say parent or mother, it says informant. Your mother was informing the bank that she has just produced another product to be bought and sold. England, the British Crown, through international banking, owns your physical body, and that's the law. You can think it's funny all you want. So the bottom line is that you are a maritime admiralty product, and on the back of the Social Security card will be numbers in red. On the front will be in blue or black, but on the back will be in red. The numbers on the back of a Social Security card in red designate your body. It is the serial number of your stock. And this is why if you're wealthy, you are preferred stock. If you're poor, you are common stock. But you are a stock on the stock market. Your body is bought and sold through the use of your birth certificate. And if you could get your original birth certificate back, you would find that on the back of the birth certificate are all the banks around the world. All over the world, banks have used your birth certificate because you are a stock in a maritime admiralty banking scheme where you make money for banks. So consequently, the corporation and government and people who want to control you, they create a second you, and that second you that they control, that they created, is all capital letters. Check it out. Anytime you get a bill, get a lawsuit, you're going to find a ticket. Somebody sends you a bill from the Department of Water and Power. Check it out on your driver's license, on your Social Security card, on your insurance cards. Anything having to do with business, your name will always be in all capital letters, because only all capital letters can be dealt with by banks and government. Anytime you have a name upper or lowercase, that applies to you. I got no control over you. You sign a contract in which your name is in all capital letters, now I can take you to court. Now I can take you. As a matter of fact, the judge sits on a bench. He rules from the bench. The word bench in Latin is a bank. Look it up in a Latin dictionary. So the judge rules from the bench. Right, because he's ruling for the bank. Why? Because somebody's going to pay. It's just a game here. The Queen of England wants a cut of the American blood. She wants a piece. So it's going, somebody's going to pay, and the money's going to go where? Into a bank. That's right. The judge rules of the bank. So consequently, if you are working in California making money, you are then referred to as a franchisee. You're a franchisee of a foreign corporation. 1849 Constitution of California says, no California citizen will ever pay taxes in California state, ever. There will never be a state tax in California, ever. That's the Constitution of California. But if you say that you're a United States citizen, you're saying you work for a privately owned corporation called United States. Therefore, you are a franchisee of a foreign corporation. Therefore, you must pay the California Franchise Tax Board, not California State Tax Board. There is no state tax in California. You pay the California Franchise Tax Board because you're a franchisee of a foreign corporation under maritime banking law, international law. You work for the Queen of England. Your butt is owned by the Queen of England in a corporation called United States, while a man called Bush is the president of the British corporation. You need to wake up and find out how this stuff really works. Because once you understand that you don't need to submit yourself as an American to a British commercial venture called courts. You're an American. You don't need to go to court. You only go to court because you agreed to go to court. When they send you a subpoena to court or a summons to court, or they've sent you something, you look at it and say, hey, Jack, that's not me. That's in all capital letters. All capital letters is a corporation. It's a corpse. It's dead. Do I look like I'm dead to you? No, I'm an American, Jack. I ain't dead. And besides, I'll go to an American system for justice. I don't need no British Grand Lodge Masonic system called courts. This British Grand Lodge Freemasonic system called Inns of Court comes out of England. And it has manipulated, exploited, and lied to the people. And everybody in America thinks they got to go to court. Oh, the judge is, they've sent me something that I've got to go to court. I don't go to anybody's court. I'm an American. I don't need to go to court. That's the difference between being a free man and a slave.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. There's a far higher, bigger picture going on the earth for at least 7,000 years of human history that we modern day people really just don't relate to. All we know is what we live with today. The hidden history of the world we live in. For 3,200 years, Rome has dominated Europe. And for 3,200 years, Europe has dominated the world. Therefore, there is the old saying that all roads lead to Rome. Just keep in mind that what you are seeing happening on the earth today, with all the economic problems, etc., all has a pedigree and all has a background which you need to understand. Our commercial systems, our educational systems, are all based on ancient concepts and belief systems. Knowledge is power. And this is why so many people in America especially feel powerless, because they have no knowledge. Profound things have been said in the Bible. For instance, it is written in the Old Testament that my people are dying from a lack of knowledge. And that's certainly true. Today people are dying, they're wasting their lives away because they're ignorant, ill-informed, and unread as to how the world works. And there's another scripture that I think is extremely important that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Simply meaning that as long as civilization does not understand where we have come from, where we are now, and where is the whole human race going in the future, if you don't have that kind of spiritual vision, then we're going to perish. Educate yourself about how the world really works. Banks do not loan money. There's a law in America that says no bank can loan money, period. That's the law. Now, how many people go to get a loan from a bank know that the law in America says no banks can loan money? How many people know that? The way it works is very simple. Suppose you're buying a $30,000 car, $50,000 car. That car, first of all, has to be appraised by a state-approved appraiser. So you have a government appraiser appraise the car for its value. And let's say it's $50,000. Therefore, the paperwork, which represents that $50,000 car, is referred to in commerce and business as commercial paper. And that piece of paper represents $50,000 in business. So what happens is, if you decide you want to buy the car, the dealership sends the paper to the bank. So now the bank has a $50,000 worth of commercial paper. What the bank does is they open up a bank account in your name without you knowing it. All banks do this. They open up a bank account in your name. They sign your name on the bank account, because you can't open a bank account without a signature. So they sign your name on a bank account and open up a bank account for you. But you don't know that. Then they take the $50,000 in commercial paper, which represents $50,000, and they put it into your account. So now you have a bank account in their bank with $50,000 in it. And then they take that bank account and they write a check on that for you. So the first check for the first $50,000 they write for you, and they sign it for you and give it to you so you can give it to the dealer. So you think the bank has loaned you $50,000. No. The bank merely gave you credit on the commercial paper which they're holding. They are confirming that they have the $50,000 in the bank with the paper. They're holding the pink slip. Therefore, they will give you a credit of $50,000 based on your commercial paper. So they didn't give you anything. You gave them $50,000 on commercial paper. They just gave you a credit. And so that's the way it works. There is no money changing hands. Now let me give you another example that's even easier to understand. Suppose you were a painting contractor, and I hire you to paint my office, and you tell me it's going to cost $100 to paint my office. Well, the way it works in business, in commercial business, is that I agree to your bill of $100. So when you're through with the job, you come to me and you give me a bill, and the bill is for $100. I reach in my wallet and I pull out a $100 bill, and I give it to you. Now you have been paid because I gave you a $100 bill. No, I didn't pay you anything. I paid you nothing. You gave me a bill for $100. I reach in my wallet, I give you a bill for $100. It's called a $100 bill. So now you owe me $100. It's a bill. Look on the $100 bill, and at the top it says a Federal Reserve note. It's a bank note, meaning you now owe me $100. It's a bank note. And so if you had given me a bill for $20, I give you a $20 bill. So all we're doing is just exchanging bills. That's why banks are called banks of exchange. So we're just exchanging paper. Nobody has bought anything. And because of that, the law basically says in America, you cannot pay a bill. So understand, when you say that you've got a bill that you have to pay, you cannot pay a bill in America. That's the law. But you can discharge a debt. That's different. Discharging a debt is different from paying a bill. Since you didn't pay for anything, since you're using the Federal Reserve note and you're buying something, you did not pay. You didn't pay the bill. So therefore, whatever it is you're buying, you don't own. You don't own anything. It was just a bill of exchange. They give you something worth $100 bill, and I gave them a bill for $100. So the bottom line on the way commerce works is that nobody pays anyone, period. Therefore, in point of fact, by law, no one owns anything. Also is why you have to have insurance and a seatbelt. It's because you do not own your body. The government owns your body, in point of fact. And so your body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange, and the corporation that owns you, and you are owned. There are laws that expressly say that you are owned. You just don't know it.